सभी को नमस्कार। आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव के तहत भारतीय कृषि अनुसंधान परिषद केंद्रीय मात्स्यिकी प्रौद्योगिकी संस्थान द्वारा आयोजित स्वास्थ्य और समृद्धि के लिए मछली पर आयोजित राष्ट्रीय अभियान कार्यक्रम में सभी का स्वागत है। भारत की आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव भारत सरकार की एक पहल है, जिसके चलते भारत की आजादी के 75वें साल और भारत की जनता, संस्कृति एवं उपलब्धियों को मनाया जा रहा है। आजादी के महोत्सव की औपचारिक शुरुआत 12 मार्च 2021 को हुई।
The Indian Council of Agricultural Research and Department of Agricultural Research and Education has planned various activities to be undertaken for 75 weeks preceding 15th August 2022. These include 75 mass awareness campaigns and 75 lectures by eminent persons on the thematic areas for reaching out to maximum stakeholders on various new developments in different sectors of agriculture, one every week for 75 weeks preceding 75th Independence Day.
भारतीय कृषि अनुसंधान परिषद गीत के साथ राष्ट्रीय अभियान कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत करेंगे।
जय जय कृषि परिषद भारत की, सुखद प्रतीक हरित भारत की। कृषि धन पशुधन मानव जीवन, दुग्ध मत्स्य फल यंत्र सुवर्धन। वैज्ञानिक विधि नव तकनीकी, पारिस्थितिकी का संरक्षण। शस्य श्यामला छवि भारत की, जय जय कृषि परिषद भारत की। हिम प्रदेश से सागर तट तक, मरुधरती से पूर्वोत्तर तक, हर पथ पर है मित्र कृषक की। शिक्षा शोध प्रसार सकल तक, आशा स्वावलंबित भारत की। जय जय कृषि परिषद भारत की, जय जय कृषि परिषद भारत की।
Now, I would like to call upon Dr. T.V. Shankar, Principal Scientist and in charge, Prioritization, Monitoring and Evaluation Cell of ICAR-CIFT Kochi, to offer the welcome address. Sir, please.
Respected President of today's function, Dr. Leela Edwin, Director, ICAR-CIFT, Chief Guest, Dr. K.N. Raghavan, PRS, Chairman, Marine Products Export Development Authority, Kochi, Assistant Director General, Marine Fisheries, ICAR, distinguished Vice Chancellors, Registrars, and Deans of Universities, Directors of Sister Institutes, other distinguished persons who joined the program online, heads of divisions from CIFT and other sister institutes, scientists from CIFT and other institutes, distinguished speakers, students, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to all. As mentioned, the Government of India is commemorating the 75th independence as AZADI ka AMRUT MAHOTSAV, with celebrations and campaigns across the country. The celebrations, in fact, commenced on 12th March 2021 and will culminate with the 75th anniversary of India's independence, that is on 15th August 2022. Today, to mark the 71st week of celebrations, ICAR-CIFT is leading the national campaign on the theme Fish for Health and Prosperity, along with other ICAR research institutes. It is well known that fish is a healthy food. Fish and seafood consumption underwent a major change over the past 4 decades. As per literature, more than 178.5 million tons of fish are harvested from sea and aquaculture globally, and about 88% is utilized for human consumption. Besides, fish as a trade commodity attracts many and has been accepted as a lucrative profession as well. The theme is very important and without any doubt is an appropriate theme for celebration. Today we have with us Dr. K.N. Raghavan, IRS, as chief guest for the function. Dr. Raghavan, a native of Kochi, completed his MBBS from Calicut Medical College in 1988. He joined Indian Revenue Service in 1990 and served the government in various capacities, including Commissioner of Customs Kochi, Deputy Director, Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, Calicut, Managing Director of Kerala Cooperative Rubber Marketing Federation, CEO of Cooperative Medical College Kochi, and so on. He is the first Secretary Commerce in the High Commission of India, Singapore. Dr. K.N. is an Executive Director of Rubber Board since 2019 and assumed the additional charge as Chairman, MPD, Marine Products Export Development Authority, Kochi, since March 22. Sir, we are happy to have you here today for this function as part of the AZADI ka AMRUT Mahotsav. I, on behalf of Director General ICR, Deputy Director General Fisheries, New Delhi, Director ICAR-CIFT, and Directors of other ICR Fisheries Research Institutes, all dignitaries attending the national campaign, and participants, welcome you to this function. Dr. Leela Edwin is the president of today's function and is in fact the chairman of the organizing committee for this program. As a matter of custom, let me welcome Dr. Leela Edwin, Director CFT, to this function. We have two distinguished speakers talking on the team subject today. Dr. C.V. Mohan, Principal Scientist, World Fish, who is joining online, and Dr. Shivakumar Magade, Dean, College of Fisheries, Mangalore. Dr. Shivakumar, Dean, College of Fisheries, Mangalore, is here in response to our invitation. He is an aquaculture specialist with an experience of over 25 years. He is a recognized researcher with a number of publications in peer-reviewed journals. He is the recipient of National Chanakya Award 2017 of the Public Relations Council of India, Dr. Abdul Kalam Lifetime Achievement Award 2017 of Christ Foundation, Bangalore, and Environmentalist of the Year Award 2017 of International Foundation for Ecology and Environment. I have great pleasure in welcoming Dr. Shivakumar Magade on behalf of the dignitaries and on my own personal behalf. Dr. Chadak Vishnumurthy Mohan, C.V. Mohan, supports the implementation and delivery of sustainable aquaculture research program with a focus on aquatic animal health management. He holds a PhD in aquatic animal pathology from University of Stirling, Scotland, and worked as an academic for 20 years at College of Fisheries, Mangalore, India. Before joining World Fish in 2014, he worked in network of aquaculture centers in South Asia Pacific, NACA, based in Bangkok for 11 years, supporting sustainable aquaculture research and development program with 18 Asia Pacific governments. He was the chairman of Fish Health Section of Asian Fisheries Society for 3 years and has published over 100 papers in peer-reviewed national and international journals. Today, he has joined virtually, and I welcome Dr. C.V. Morgan to this program. I welcome all the dignitaries who joined the program virtually. I also extend a warm welcome to my colleague and head of the Biochemistry and Nutrition Division of the Institute, Dr. Susila Matthew, to this function. Finally, I wholeheartedly welcome all those physically present in this auditorium today to visualize this function. And I welcome one and all to this function. Thank you very much.
धन्यवाद सर. आदरणीय डॉक्टर लीला एडविन, निदेशक, भारतीय कृषि अनुसंधान परिषद, केंद्रीय मत्स्य प्रौद्योगिकी संस्थान को अध्यक्षीय भाषण के लिए सादर आमंत्रित करता हूं.
Good morning to all, and once again a warm welcome to the National Campaign for Fish for Health and Prosperity. Respected chief guest of today, Dr. K. N. Raghavan IRS, guest speakers for the national campaign, Dr. C.V. Mohan, Principal Scientist, World Fish, Dr. Shivakumar Magda, Dean College of Fisheries, Mangalore, senior officials of ICAR, Dr. T.V. Shankar and Dr. Sushila, conveners of this program, scientists, academicians, representatives from commerce and industry, research scholars, students, my colleagues here, ladies and gentlemen. The ICAR-CIFT is grateful to our chief guest, Dr. K. N. Raghavan, for gracing this occasion in spite of his very busy schedule as the chairman of MPDA and executive director of the Rubber Board. Sorry. I also thank today's eminent speakers, Dr. C.V. Mohan and Dr. Shivakumar, and we are definitely looking forward to their scholarly lectures. Coming to today's national campaign, you know, fish and fishery products are not recognized only as some of the healthiest food in the planet, but also those causing the least environmental concerns. Fish is rightly referred to as the fish-rich food for the poor man, as it is very affordable and also rich in nutrients. They say there are nearly 40 nutrients in fish. In 2017, fish accounted for about 17% of total animal protein consumed globally. And moreover, fish provides 3.3 billion people with almost 20% of their average per capita intake of animal protein. No wonder globally the per capita fish consumption rose from 9 kg in 1961 to 20.5 kg in 2018 as per FAO. We are thankful to the Indian Council of Agricultural Research for nominating our institute to lead the national campaign on fish for health and prosperity, being organized as part of the AZADI ka AMRUT Mahotsav. The ICAR-CIFT, for those who are not very familiar with the institute, was established in 1957 and is the only national center in the country conducting research in all aspects of harvest and post-harvest of fish, right from designing of solar fishing vessels for the artisanal fishers to the large deep sea fishing vessels. We are committed to the safety of fishers and reduction of carbon footprint. The responsible fishing techniques developed by CIFT emphasizes sustainable fishing practices and reduces impacts due to fish operations. Being a pioneer in the incubation, being a pioneer incubation center in the country in fisheries, the institute caters to the big and small entrepreneurs by setting up, hand-holding, and establishing fishery-based enterprises. The ICAR-CIFT has also given prime importance to the quality of fish and fishery products by formulating national and international standards and has developed rapid test kits which are hugely popular. We are proud that the institute is adorned with the crown of NABL FSSAI integrated accreditation. The ICAR-CIFT is notified as the National Reference Laboratory for Fish and Fish Products by the FSSAI. Besides looking into the safety of fishery products, fish health in aquaculture system is also taken care through development of diagnostic methods and kits. The processing machinery developed by our scientists like solar dryers and vending kiosks are widely accepted by the stakeholders. We conduct numerous international training programs for developing countries, and through national flagship programs, we reach out to all corners of the country. CIFT is committed to the development of the sunrise sector called fisheries, and that is exactly why we request the policymakers that fish should be given due importance in national, regional, and global food security and nutrition strategies for eliminating malnutrition. We sincerely hope that this campaign will help in emphasizing the importance of fish in our diets, because fish is a symbol of health and prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. The inauguration of the national campaign will be marked by lighting of the ceremonial lamp. I request our chief guest, Dr. K. N. Raghavan IRS, Chairman, Marine Products Export Development Authority, to kindly do the honors. All dignitaries on the dais may kindly join.
सभी को धन्यवाद। उद्घाटन भाषण के लिए डॉक्टर के.एन. राघवन IRS को सादर आमंत्रित करता हूं।
Dr. Leena Edwin, Director ICAR-CIFT, Dr. T.V. Shankar, Dr. Shivakumar Makada, Dr. Sushila Matthew, Dr. Mohan, who is joining the function online, distinguished guests, scientists, academicians, students, research fellows, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm good morning to all of you. Let me at the outset congratulate ICAR-CIFT for hosting this national campaign, for setting off this national campaign on fish for health and prosperity. Both the speakers before me said that fish is a very healthy source of food. I would say that fish is not just the healthiest, but also the tastiest source of protein. You cannot beat fish when it comes to taste, especially fresh fish that is cooked in wants to. This is a function that is, or this campaign has been launched as part of the 75th year of India's independence, which we are celebrating as AZADI ka AMRUT MAHOTSAV. We are a country with a long coastline, and it is not surprising that we had a very thriving marine fisheries industry right from the olden days. So all the coastal states had their own methods for catching fish from the seas, and the community that survived or lived on fishing was gently thrived and were relatively prosperous as well. And as the population exploded after independence, the demand for fish also increased. So we, in addition to supplementing the marine catch, we also set up aquaculture units so that both worked in tandem to meet with the increased demand of fish from the population. But now a scene has come in when marine sector is actually depleting, the marine catch is depleting, and the produce from the aquaculture is going up. I had EMPEDA, where we had wonderful results last year so far as exports were concerned. We could export around $7.76 billion worth of products to various parts of the world. And most of it was from one single product called, you'll be knowing, Wanami shrimp. But the important thing is that what fetched the maximum price was the aquaculture products. The marine products, despite it contributing substantially to the export kitty, could only garner a lesser portion of the funds that were realized. We show that there is something inherently wrong in the ratio that we at once felt was very comfortable with each other. Marine and the aquaculture sector complementing each other has now tilted in favor of aqua and to the disadvantage of the marine sector. Today's Hindu newspaper, if you have read it, carries a very detailed article about the plight of the fishermen community in the coastal, in our state. It's a very touching and poignant article. It shows how the marine catch has come down, how the income of farmers have been affected. One does not need to read that article because all of us are aware that the price of sardines has gone up tremendously because it is not available at all. It was at one go one of the cheapest source of protein, in addition to being tasty and healthy. So what is happening all around us? Well, there is a phrase in verse in Bhagavad Gita which says, Sahayatnya praja srishta pura uvacha prajapati anena prasarishaidyam eshava astu ishtakamatuk. Roughly translated, it means the Lord, when he made the universe, said, I am making a place which is a kamadhenu for all of you, provided you live in harmony, in cooperation with each other. What we have as an ocean at one point looked like an inexhaustible source of fish, but why has suddenly it become exhausted? Two broad reasons. There might be many. For a layman like me, there are two broad reasons. One is the impact of climate change, which is causing which is giving the manifestation which we had never thought it would. We have cyclones in the Arabian Sea. People say it is because of global warming and the warming of the waters of the Arabian Sea, which is causing the increased incidence of cyclones. Earlier, it was only in the Bay of Bengal, which one could understand because it was a bay and there was a tendency for the water to be warmer. Now, because of this increased temperatures, well, what the article says that fish might be migrating to new areas or it may be going deeper into the sea. That is one. Second is what we all know is the illegal and unregulated fishing that take place. There has been instance of juvenile fishing. And if you catch the juvenile fish, how will we get mature fish? And juvenile fishes that are being caught are being used for making fish feed and fish oil. So, and at one point, the fishers themselves become desperate and try to take the juvenile fish because what happens is that ultimately they also have to survive. So how do you break this chain? You need to break this chain. Otherwise, what happens is that more of juvenile fishing will lead to increased depletion of marine catch, and that will lead to the fall in income of the fishers also. Most of the coastal states have enacted laws to curb juvenile fishing, to have controls in place, but we have not implemented them properly. Unfortunately, the case is that we still look up to direction from abroad to have this done. I'll see that simple example of the turtle extruder device. USA has banned, or rather USA has stopped import of wild-caught shrimp from India because they say that our nets are not equipped with the turtle extruder device. In other words, until and unless we have the turtle extruder device in our fishing nets, they will not allow wild-caught shrimps to be imported from India. So we have developed a model of TED, that's a turtle extruder device, had it tested in USA. One model has found approval. Now with some modifications, we have to introduce it here so that the turtles that get caught in the net will escape and will not form part of the catch. Similarly, USA had insisted that we should do a survey, marine mammal survey, and give its report. And then they put their foot down and said, if you don't submit the report before 30th November 2021, you will not take any exports of marine material from India from 1/1/2023 onwards. Fortunately, you were able to beat that deadline, and we submitted the report survey by 25th of November, 5 days ahead of schedule. Now we are supposed to continue the survey continuously so that it's the whole world is watching. Sustainability is a new word. It's a catchphrase now. So we have to ensure that the practices that we have are sustainable, to ensure that the next generation also has a comfortable life. The world should not end with us. It belongs to our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren also. So the practices that we have should be in harmony with protecting the environment and promoting sustainable practices. So this, I'm saying this in the context of the word prosperity. Fish, we all know, is very a source of healthy food, but it was also a source of prosperity for the marine farmers, marine fishermen who are struggling now. Without the entire sector, without all stakeholders in the entire sector being happy and prosperous, we cannot say that there is prosperity all around. So we need to change our practices. We need to make our practices more sustainable to ensure that in the long run, the marine catch recovers and that sea will continue to be an inexhaustible source. At the same time, we should also find out ways to see whether our fishermen can also visit the deeper sea and equip them accordingly, so that why should we have to depend on raw materials coming from abroad? We have the factories here which are working at 35 to 40% capacity. Processing factories are within the country. They are all looking for import of material from abroad so that they can make value-added products and send it. If we can do it ourselves, then why should we have to look abroad for that? So that needs some change in the government policy also. But that also needs a change in the mindset of us so that we venture beyond the territorial waters, beyond the exclusive economic zone, and also go into deep waters also. These are all things that can take place only in the long run. But in the short run, we need to understand the impact that our own practices and climate change is causing on the very peaceful, tranquil marine environment. And that is creating havoc in the lives of the people who depend on the ocean and its catch for a livelihood. I'm just saying this for your, so that there is a discussion on these subjects as well, because we all sympathize with the plight of fishermen who go to sea and come back without a catch. But we should also understand that it is up to each one of us to think about it and suggest solutions. You are a body of students, research scholars, academicians who work on this subject. I am sure that with your collective thinking, you will be able to find out some solutions which can lead to better practices among fishermen, which can be popularized among them so that it leads to all-round prosperity there. Aquaculture sector on the other side has been surviving mainly because of the shrimps that has been grown there. In addition to shrimps, we have the other products like gift, sea bass and all, which are also become popular among the aquaculture farmers. There are issues there also, especially regarding to export, but these are issues which can be tackled at a much easier level because the number of farms are limited, the number of hatcheries are limited. So the sort of regulation, control, and adoption of best practices is much easier there. Whereas in the case of fishermen, it will need a huge change in the existing practices to make the oceans a source of inexhaustible wealth as it used to be. Let me once again congratulate the ICAR-CIFT for organizing this seminar and for kicking off this campaign. I'm sure that with proper campaign and with proper implementation, fish will become an integral part of the diet of every Indian. Yeah, as stated, it is one of the best source of protein, in addition to it being source of omega-3 fatty acids, various vitamins, elements, and so on and so forth. If you take fish every day in whatever form, it will not only make you healthy, but it will make you happy also. Thank you very much for a very patient listening. Have a good day of good, excellent, beneficial deliberations. I wish all success to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening speech. Today, we are honored to have an eminent personality as our guest of honor, Dr. Shivakumar Magda, Dean, College of Fisheries, Mangalore. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Shivakumar Magda to offer felicitations. Sir, please.
Good morning, one and all. Respected DG ICR, DDG Fisheries, Director CIFT, Chairman MPEDA, the organizers. I wish you very happy 75th Independence Day. Let us not celebrate it. Let us observe it. There's a huge difference between celebration and observation. Observation is throughout for the future. In fact, we have 7.7 billion people in the world. More than 1.5 billion people obtain the protein source from the fish. And the world is producing 3,600 to 3,800 million tons of food grain. And India is producing 308 million tons of food grain. And in last 65 years, because of the concerted efforts of ICR institutes, 101 ICR institutes, in last 65 years, India could increase its food production by 5 times, that is 308 all-time highest. And fish production by 15 times, egg production by 48 times, horticulture crop production by 10 times, and meat production by 9.6 times. All that's fine. But in spite of that, FAO report says that 20 crores of people are suffering from hunger and 30 to 35 crores of people are suffering from hidden hunger. We don't belong to that group. We are so lucky. And the country's population, if you look at the worldometer, it is 138.8 crores. By the time I finish my talk, 10,000 people will be added. And as of now, we are producing 15.1 million tons of fish. And our target is to achieve 20 million tons by 2025. That's why the government of India has introduced Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana to augment fish production in all possible ways and introduce 50 to 60 different themes. Friends, the country is spending just 0.8% of its GDP on research, as against 3.8 to 4% in Sweden, almost similar proportion in South Korea and many other developed countries. But the duplication of research in the country is a serious menace, and somewhere we need to, we need not do research for livelihood. It's a dangerous trend. Research for livelihood is a very dangerous trend. We need to do research on livelihood. We have a huge task, and future threat to the humankind is neither diseases nor war. Future threat to the humankind is neither diseases nor war. It is sheer crush of humanity and hunger. We have a greater role to play. We have to use our ingenuity to eradicate hunger and uphold the human values. Of course, fish was cheaper source of protein, but it's no more. And it is, of course, it is contributing significantly for the economy, and the entire country is thinking of doubling the farmers' income. And in fact, we have 57 million hectares of arable land due to continuous usage of same land for same purpose, excessive usage of fertilizers, manures, excessive usage of water, monocropping. All of these things led to the formation of saline and alkaline soils. This country has 9.6 million hectares of saline and alkaline soils. Without competing for the good resources which are utilized for agriculture, definitely aquaculture can be promoted in these D-class soils. And I want you to, fish is healthy food. You don't have to see the paper. Where is the example? It's me. It's Dr. Raghavan sir. So fish is healthy food. So let me prove that during my talk. Thank you very much for choosing me. I'm very happy to represent the first fisheries college of the country. And I'm also happy to know that Dr. Mohan speaker is my teacher and is the first speaker. I compliment the CIFT in taking lead in organizing this campaign. Let us promote fish as healthy food. Thank you very much.
धन्यवाद सर। आज के कार्यक्रम के मुख्य अतिथि और विशिष्ट अतिथि को हम स्मृति दिन देकर उनका सम्मान करना चाहते हैं। हमारे निदेशक डॉक्टर लीला एडविन मैडम से अनुरोध है कि कृपया स्मृति चिन्ह प्रदान करें। डॉक्टर के.एन. राघवन सर और डॉक्टर शिवकुमार मगड़ा सर से अनुरोध है कि कृपया इसे स्वीकारें।
Thank you, sirs. Thank you, ma'am. We are reaching the end of this inaugural meeting, and Dr. Sushila Matthew, Head Biochemistry and Nutrition Division, will now formally deliver the vote of thanks. Madam, please.
Respected Deputy Director General Fisheries, Dr. ICR, Dr. J.K. Jena, Assistant Director General Marine Fisheries, Dr. Mohanty, distinguished Vice Chancellors of Universities, Director, ICAR Central Institute of Fisheries Technology, Dr. Leela Edwin, dignitaries on the dais, directors of other institutes, all distinguished persons who joined the program, heads of divisions of CIFT and other institutes, scientists from CIFT and other institutes, distinguished speakers, other dignitaries, students, ladies and gentlemen, good day to one and all. We have come to the end of the inauguration program of the national campaign led by ICAR Central Institute of Fisheries Technology on the theme Fish for Health and Prosperity. The theme is very important, and without any doubt, is an appropriate theme for the celebration on this occasion. Dr. J.K. Jinnah, the respected Deputy Director General, ICAR, New Delhi, could not join the program as president of the function, as he is extremely busy with the ICAR Foundation Day. Sir only muted this idea of this campaign and was part and parcel of planning the program. I extend my sincere thanks to DDG on behalf of Director CIFT and on behalf of everyone gathered here. Today, Dr. K.N. Raghavan, IRS Chairman, Marine Products Export Development Authority, joined us as chief guest for the function. His presence and his message definitely added value to the program. I extend our sincere thanks to you, sir, on behalf of DDG ICR, Director CIFT, directors of other ICR Fisheries institutes, and all those who gathered here, both physically and virtually. Thank you, sir. Dr. Shivkumar, Dean, College of Fisheries, Mangalore, joined the inaugural program and offered his felicitations. I thank him for coming over here and participating in the program. He is speaking to the participant in the technical session, which follows immediately. Thank you very much for your valuable remarks on this special day. Thank you, sir. I extend our thanks to Dr. Chadak Mohan, Principal Scientist, World Fish, who is also joining us in the technical program as our guest speaker, for accepting our invitation and joining this program. Along with other ICR institutes, CIFT is working with World Fish under the leadership of Dr. Jinnah and Dr. Mohan for the past few years. Thank you, sir, for joining the program. Let me thank our director, Dr. Leela Edwin, the leader who took all steps from beginning to end to make this program a success. Thank you, madam. I thank Dr. Ravi Shankar, our previous director, for his initial planning to conduct this program. Thanks are due to Dr. T.V. Shankar, convener of this program, for his meticulous planning. Thank you, sir. Let me thank all participants who joined physically and virtually this program. It is with all your participation, the program has become more meaningful. My sincere thanks to each one of you. Now let me thank my colleagues at CIFT, both headquarters and center, and other sister institutes who have put in the sincere time and effort to make this program a grand success. 7 ICR Fisheries institutes have conducted the campaign on 15th July. I extend my deep sense of gratitude to you all. My special thanks are also to scientific, technical, administrative staff, and all others of ICAR-CIFT for their immense contribution towards the successful conduct of this program. Each one has contributed one way or the other. Thank you all. Thank you everyone once again. Let us all can take the oath that we all will work together for the promotion of fish as one of the solutions to alleviate malnutrition in our country. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, the inaugural program has concluded and the technical session will begin now.
तकनीकी सत्र में सभी का स्वागत है। आज के तकनीकी सत्र में 2 भाषणों का आयोजन किया जा रहा है।
Ladies and gentlemen, we are beginning the national campaign on Fish for Health and Prosperity held in connection with AZADI Ka AMRUT Mahotsav. The first talk is by Dr. C.V. Mohan, Principal Scientist, World Fish, Penang, Malaysia. Dr. Mohan will be joining with us virtually. Dr. Chadak Vishnumurthy Mohan is a principal scientist at World Fish. Within World Fish, Dr. Mohan leads the Aquatic Animal Health Research Cluster and One Health initiative of 1CG IAR. He supports the implementation and delivery of the Sustainable Aquaculture Research Program with a focus on aquatic animal health management. He holds a PhD in aquatic animal pathology from the University of Stirling and worked as an academic for 20 years at the College of Fisheries, Mangalore. Before joining World Fish in April 2014, he worked for the network of aquaculture centers in Asia Pacific for 11 years, supporting sustainable aquaculture research and development programs with 18 Asia Pacific countries. I welcome you, sir, to deliver the talk.
So thank you very much. Hope all of you can hear me. All of you can hear me? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. I'm very pleased to be part of this celebration which ICAR is leading and really trying to promote the importance of fish and aquatic foods in relation to the health of people, the health of the planet, people's prosperity. So I'm really very pleased. And I was also very pleased to hear some of the remarks from the MPEDA chairman and also from Dr. Shivakumar Magadha with respect to the importance of fish and aquatic foods. So I'll start my presentation by sharing the screen. Hope the technology will be support you and I'll be able to share the screen and make the presentation. And I should not take more than 20 minutes with the presentation if it's okay with the audience. Let me start sharing the screen, and if you can give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen, then it will be useful for me. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
And is it in one? Is it okay now? Or?
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so can you click on for slideshow mode?
It is in the slideshow mode only.
It's not in the slideshow mode, sir.
No, it is in the slideshow mode. I have put in the slideshow mode. Yeah.
But we are seeing the we are not seeing the slideshow mode, sir.
I have put it in one. Let me again try. Let me stop screening and again try. share screen. Is it now?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you very much. Sorry for that issue in the beginning. Okay, so the topic, the title I have chosen is very much resonates with the theme of your celebration and observation, as Magada was telling, of the importance. So the title I have chosen is Aquatic Foods for Healthy People and also the Healthy Planet. So this is the title I have chosen. And we are very fond of this title as part of the One CGIAR system, trying to work towards aquatic food systems and what role they can play in transforming the global food systems so that it can benefit the people, benefit the planet, and benefit the organisms which we actually farm or harvest. This is the brief outline of my presentation. I'll very initially touch upon the global perspectives on food and nutrition security and talk of aquatic foods and aquatic food systems, then try to say why aquatic foods are a very good solution for nourishing nations, how the nations can be nourished with aquatic foods, and just bring to your attention few of the global and regional and national recommendations that have gone about in the last 10-15 years with respect to aquatic foods and their role in nourishing the nations, and end my presentation with a few key messages. And at this stage, I would also acknowledge and inform that Dr. Shakuntala Tilsted, one of our senior program leaders, won the World Food Prize in 2021 for her pioneering work in relation to promoting aquatic foods from a human health point of view, not just from production and volume and value point of view. So this is worth remembering here. So if you look at the 2021 FAO report, the State of Food Security and Nutrition, which Dr. Magada referred to in his introductory statements, if you look at the global perspective, close to 800 million people in 2020 did face hunger, and around 2.37 billion people do not have access to adequate food. Even though there is surplus food in some parts of the world, there is deficient food in some parts of the world. And about 12% of the global population is severely food insecure. They cannot get the adequate nutritious food. There is huge gender gap with respect to the food insecurity. So women definitely suffering more than men when it comes to the food insecurity. And major number of undernourished people, they are in Asia, Africa, Latin America, and Caribbean. And what is really distressing is also the situation with respect to children below ages of 5, 22, you just see the percentages there, 22% affected by stunting, around 7% by wasting, and now increasingly even people suffering from overweight. This is again the lack of understanding the value of food and the food dietary diversity and replacing our healthy diets with unhealthy diets, leading to sort of this situation, which could become in future, again, a global health problem, as it's already seen in many other parts of the world. This is where I want to draw your attention to. Most of the past discussions on nutrition and hunger and malnutrition, undernutrition, really did not give the attention it deserves for fish and aquatic foods. Most of the time it was just, just always on the sidelines. Fish people were on the sidelines. Fish researchers, the aquatic food system researchers were always on the sidelines. I'm very happy to inform, for the very first time, the United Nations put up a discussion paper where for the very first time, on the role of aquatic foods, and World Fish played a major role with partners from several leading global institutions to bring this to the discussion table in the United Nations Assembly in relation to what aquatic foods can do with respect to sustainable and healthy diets, and how it can offer very simple solution to fight hunger, malnutrition, undernutrition, all these type of things. So this is a major, game changer when it comes to drawing the attention of the global community on to the importance of aquatic foods, just like the climate science, the climate reports and all that. So World Fish did, as part of the CGR, did play a major role in tabling this report and also following up the recommendations that is coming out of the United Nations on the importance of aquatic foods. So we always say aquatic foods. So what are aquatic foods? And we don't, especially within CGIAR and World Fish, we don't like to separate different commodities and different species and different items. For us, whatever is farmed in and whatever is harvested from our aquatic systems are aquatic foods. So and we are really blessed with diversity, hundreds and hundreds of species, both finfish, shellfish, aquatic plants, hugely underrepresented the segment, aquatic others, aquatic polychaetes and others which can be used as feeds, other aquatic foods, and now there is even talk of synthetic substitutes. So all this together is referred to as aquatic foods. So I think when we talk about promoting and advocating aquatic foods for healthy planet, for healthy people and all that, we should not focus on individual commodities, but instead try to promote the concept of the overall aquatic foods. That I think that's where our strength lies, because the diversity, because of the huge diversity of species and systems which we have. And I think we need to capitalize on that rather than just talking of one individual commodity. And again, I see in the audience a lot of students, and I also saw from the chat, many are students from BFSC and MFSC. It's very good. So I think all of us should start thinking in terms of not just, Vaname farming, mud crab farming, carp farming, but think in terms of food systems. So what is food systems? It is in a very simple term. It's very simple. It's just a web made up of the various elements, activities, and outcomes. So if you look at what are the elements is the water, the environment, people like us, inputs, processes, infrastructure, institutions like ICAR, Fisheries colleges, MPEDA, all the institutions. These are the elements in the food system for us, aquatic food system, when we talk. What are the activities? All the activities which relate right from production, maybe from the wild, maybe from aquaculture, maybe from synthetic substitutes, how we process, how we distribute, how we prepare, how we consume, how we handle the waste, how we dispose the waste. All these are the activities which you do with the aquatic food. And what are the outcomes? The outcomes are the results of these activities. They could be nutrition outcomes, they could be health outcomes, they could be food security outcomes, socio-economic outcomes. That is where money and well-being and all that, livelihood and all that comes, and environmental outcomes. There is no point in producing food and destroying the environment. So these are a food systems thinking and a food systems framework is very, very essential if we were to drive sustainable food systems for future. This applies to agriculture, this applies to livestock, this applies to all sorts of food production systems. And if a CGIAR as a whole is from 2022 is coming together as one CGIAR to promote the concept of food systems and food system transformation, and how this can be used to meet the sustainable development goals and all SDGs. If you look at how aquatic food systems and relate to the SDGs, it's very obvious. The key indicators like social, economic, and environmental. Social, if you see, more than 800 million people depend on aquatic food systems for their livelihoods, and they all come from low and middle income countries. If you look at the economics, over 3.3 billion people, they depend on aquatics for protein as the primary source. And in many cases, it's the rural poor, because aquatic foods compared to other foods are more affordable and preferred animal source foods. Here again, we are not talking of smoked salmon or high-end shrimps, but we are talking of the overall aquatic foods produced globally and harvested from inland and marine and brackish water systems on a day-to-day basis. And if you look at the environment again, aquatic foods are produced with the least environmental impact. And that's why they are more sort of sustainable. They have less emissions. If you look at this diagram, which is a very famous work of colleagues from World Fish and others, Benet et al., very clearly shows how well we are placed when it comes to the conversion efficiency. We are much better than cattle ranching, than piggery, than maybe poultry. We are very well ahead of the other food producer actors. And again, if you look at the emissions, we are very close with the poultry and we are very well off when it comes to shellfish, especially bivalves and others. And fish also is doing fairly well. So when it comes to the environmental footprints and the conversion efficiency, I think we can pat our back and say, okay, fish is good, and we can really push this in the global and the national food discussions. I think this is the points which I think we need to push in the global discussions. And this was touched upon by many, and this is the famous diagram which World Fish uses everywhere. So fish is loaded with nutrients, and it's always not correct to refer fish only to protein. I think protein is there, and we can acquire protein from various sources, including our lentils and others. But I think we should push fish and aquatics from the essential fatty acids, the diverse range of minerals which we can access, the diverse range of vitamins which can access, and some of the highlights like the bioavailability of these minerals, bioavailability of these vitamins, how easy it is to absorb and utilize in your system, unlike other sources where we may not be able to absorb and utilize the, to the fullest extent. So that's the reason why in World Fish, we call fish as a superfood, aquatics as a superfood, which should be harnessed for fighting some of the issues which we are facing in the present day world. So if you look at aquatic foods for nourishing nations, again, to re-emphasize the advantage of us aquatic people is the diversity of aquatic systems, vast oceans, large numbers of inland water bodies, floodplains, even rice fields and others, agriculture based systems, and the major source of multiple micronutrients and essential fatty acids. So what is important here is many countries have already recognized the value of aquatic foods. And if you see, out of the 94 countries which have food-based dietary guidelines, 78 of them have included aquatic foods in their national food-based dietary guidelines. So this is where I think policymakers, the directors of ICAR institutions, the major national policy people should push so that aquatic foods figure in the national food-based dietary guidelines. So these are major game changers. If all countries are able to include aquatics foods in their national food-based dietary guidelines, along with milk, eggs, and others, then we are much, much better placed to promote aquatic production systems, sustainable farming systems, and attract more funding for research, because Magadha was telling how little we attract in terms of research funding. So I think unless these key facts are brought into the attention of major policy makers in a very short span of time, I think we lose the race when it comes to other food actors and other food commodities. And again, when it comes to the recommendation, you can see there are varying recommendations. FAO and WHO 2011 itself, they are told around 1 to 2 servings of 100 gram fish per week per adults. The famous Eat Lancet Commission, which did wonderful work with respect to aquatic food systems, the nutrients present in aquatic foods, they have suggested, recommended around 28 gram of fish per day per adults, to be included in the food-based dietary guidelines. Now let us, again, Magadha touched on the aspect of malnutrition and hidden hunger and all that. You look at the state of the food security and nutrition report of 2021, and you look at South Asia, and South Asia, the situation, looking at the indicators, is distressing to some extent. The prevalence of undernutrition, the prevalence of anemia among women of reproductive age, prevalence of stunting, prevalence of wasting, so this is really worrying. On one side, we have self-sufficiency in many of the food commodities, but on the other side, we have major indicators not doing what would ideally we would desire. So there is a lot of work to be done. So this is where I think for all of us, right from students to researchers to policymakers, this is where I think our role is to push aquatic foods as the major source of essential micronutrients, which is one of the primary reasons for malnutrition, stunting, hunger, and all that. It's not just filling the stomach, but meeting the nutrient requirements. Here you see the specialities of aquatics. Vitamin A, this is the only animal source food that has got preformed source. look at vitamin B12, only the animal source foods are the source, and fish is one of them. Vitamin D is the only dietary source, animal source foods. And if you look at the minerals, bioavailable iron is the only dietary source which is coming from fish. Again, bioavailable zinc, calcium, and phosphorus coming from fish. So fish is a very rich source of not just protein and essential fatty acids, but some of the critical essential micronutrients. So this is where I think we need to really position fish and push fish. And ICAR institutions like CA-FREE, West Bengal, and CIFT-FREE in Northeast, I can see here our good friend Bhattacharya ji. So they're all, and Bimal Mohanty and others, they've done a lot of work on promoting the nutrition profile of many of the fishes, and this work should be expanded to cover as many species as we have, both from capture and culture within the country, so that people can have informed decisions when they start buying fish from the diverse range of fish that's available in the market platform. So we think Aquatic Foods, we along with many institutions, including ICAR institutions within India, we think Aquatic Foods are central to the global food system transformation discussion. Again, Aquatic Foods are central to the One Health type of discussion. And we also think one of the large areas that's neglected is inland capture fisheries and small indigenous species. This is a hugely neglected area because all our attention is Vanamai, Monodon, Major Carp, Katla, Mud Carp. That is okay, but at the same time, what is easily available, what can be easily harnessed, what can be easily sustainably used to fight hunger, malnutrition, mineral deficiency at local levels, at community levels, at the level of small scale fishers and their communities. So this is where the value of inland capture fisheries, the value of SIS is very important. You would have seen some of the recent reports from FAO and others where they've estimated that the hidden harvest of inland fish is so high, and that never gets represented in any catch statistics, but purely goes unnoticed. And they used some novel methods to capture the information by doing what they call consumption surveys of the water body dependent communities, like the beal dependent communities or riverine dependent communities or reservoir dependent communities. And they try to understand what is their consumption pattern and which are the species they're consuming. And then they try to work out the productivity of those water bodies. And they found out that what is presented as the productivity of reservoir A could be 10 times higher if we really look at the consumption and then use models to rework the total value of those systems. So I think unless we highlight the value of aquatic foods coming out of rivers, reservoirs, lakes, open water bodies, public water bodies, coastal waters, brackish water lakes and lagoons, to the mainstream aqua data is very important to realize the value. And there comes the role of small indigenous species also, both in freshwater systems, could be brackish systems and other systems. And we should not, please do not confuse small indigenous species with juvenile fishing, which again, very rightly pointed out by the MPEDA chairman. So juvenile fishing is a totally different management intervention to prevent juvenile fishing. But small indigenous species is another area where they only grow to some extent and they need to be used, within that particular system. Again, if you see aquatic foods, many of the aquatic farming systems which we have in the world can be made what we call nutrition sensitive, with proper awareness and with proper practice and behavior change communication to the communities which do the farming. For example, there is a lot of what we call homestead and backyard fish farming in many of the countries in South Asia, including in India along the Northeast and all that, where the dominant species like carps can be farmed with several indigenous small indigenous species. And this type of nutrition sensitive farming models have become very successful in countries like Bangladesh, what we call carp mola polyculture, this will, there are sufficient evidence to suggest that this in no way compromises the productivity of major carps and other economic species, but gives you additional fish in the form of small indigenous species, which gives you additional nutrition gains and also additional financial gains if there is excess fish that can be marketed. So carp mola polyculture has become a very important nutrition sensitive intervention being followed in many countries of the world, especially in South Asia and Southeast Asia. And this is just one example of the work which we were involved with the government of Odisha, where women self-help groups getting long-term lease of Gram Panchayat tanks, doing carp and small indigenous species polyculture, and households consuming the SIS as a result and marketing their carps. And a very good example again of how the government mainline development departments can be brought together. Now what we see in many of the states is all departments are working on their own. Fisheries departments works on its own. The Department of Women and Child Development works on its own. Mission Shakti works on its own. Panchayat Raj works on its own. But if you want to really see the strength and the power of these departments, if you can make them to converge by convincing and bringing some good leaders from each of these departments together, the power that it can unleash with respect to harnessing the aquatic systems for aquatic food production and then to reach even the nutrition targets is amazing. And we're very proud of our association with Fisheries Department, the Women and Child Development, the Mission Shakti and Panchayat Raj in Odisha, which really sort of brought about a lot of significant changes at the ground level, and a lot of interaction between these departments, everyone realizing what can be done in addition to their regular programs if they give the right type of interventions, and how they can make their respective departments more empowered and more powerful to talk to higher authorities with respect to doing additional things along with their routine activities and operations. This is a very good model of convergence which is done in Odisha. We are hoping to sort of repeat this type of model in Assam as well with respect to some of the nutrition sensitive approaches. Again, integrated nutrition sensitive systems, these are gaining a lot of importance. These were there, these again disappeared, now again coming back. And again, we see a lot of value in integration of food systems, where sustainability takes a front seat, where role of indigenous, small indigenous species takes a front seat, where agriculture integration takes front seat, where dike cropping and vegetable cropping takes a front seat. And if those of you are interested in integrated farming systems, and especially dike farming with fish, I would urge all of them to visit Bangladesh and see how well dike vegetable and farming integrated with fish farming, again nutrition sensitive, carp and mola and small indigenous, how well these systems are driving changes at the rural communities and the rural blocks of many of the districts in Bangladesh. So these type of systems are very amenable to change, modification, and the important thing to keep in mind is they maintain diversity, they support ecological integrity, and they support efficient usage of aquatic inland resources, for producing diverse aquatic foods, at the same time also producing other foods which we want, like rice and vegetables and fruits. SIS and rice fish production systems is becoming very popular now in Assam and other places. Again, CIFT is also involved in some of this work. And this is a beautiful picture of the small indigenous fish, and very tasty, as again, Emperor Chairman referred to. It's not just nutritious, it's very tasty. And some of the dishes which are prepared in Odisha and in Assam with this whole small fish is so tasty that I would give up my mackerels and seer and sardines for this type of dishes, so tasty and so nicely done. And the fish is consumed whole. The fish is consumed whole. So you access all the nutrients. You do not lose any nutrients. You access all the nutrients which is present and minerals which is present right from the head to the tail, because you consume this fish whole. So these are some of the small things which we tend to sort of take it for granted and neglect. But when you start quantifying the value it gives in terms of the nutrients for the people, then you realize this should not be underestimated. This should be really evaluated, extrapolated, and try to understand. If you consume 10 grams or 20 grams every day, what's its real effect or real benefit to us? Again, increasing consumption of fish through social behavior, communication change. Again, one way to realize the potential of not only small indigenous species, but the potential of overall fish in the system. And this is the work we did with in collaboration with Odisha government and also with ICAR-CIFT. And ICAR-CIFT was very good in providing us a lot of certified simple fish products like dried fish and dried fish powder, which we could try with various permutations and combinations through a very formal piloting program in Odisha in collaboration with the Department of Women and Child Development, Mission Shakti, Fisheries Department and others, to see whether fish and fish products in its simplest form, in its safest form, can it be really included in the dietary programs of different schemes of the governments. So it is possible, but we need good leadership and good evidence to convince this leadership to take it forward. And again, one more thing very important is when aquatic foods is on the plate, when you put an aquatic food on the plate, all its nutrients are highly bioavailable. At the same time, it also enhances the micronutrient bioavailability from other vegetables which you have in your curry or in your bhaji or in your, the poriyal and other things. So that's the advantage of the beauty of having fish along with, other resources. Other thing is aquatic foods on your plate brings a great diversity, so it's not just rice and dal, it's rice, dal, some vegetables, some fish. So it brings the diversity. And this is where aquatic foods really, play a major role. And it's, if you look at some of the work which we have been doing again in Asia and in Africa, especially Bangladesh, Myanmar, some work done in Odisha now, and a lot of African countries, what we are looking for when we talk of aquatics, we don't want any sophisticated high-tech products. What we want is very simple products which are of good quality, which are of high nutrition, which can be certified through FSSAI or other certification bodies, which can be made available in small quantities, which can have long shelf life, which are very easy to transport, and which can make access to aquatics throughout the lean season also, landlocked states through the lean season. So in terms of that, aquatic foods have huge potential. And if you just, again, Dr. Raghavan talked about the fish meal industry and all that, I know a lot of fish going into several other purposes as well. So that is where there's a huge potential to convert vast quantities of aquatic foods to products, simple, easy to use, safe, nutritious. We will not lose any nutrition. But unfortunately, the investment, especially from the private and public in relation to these type of simple solutions is not there. I think this is where major investment has to come from the private sector to produce simple products which are suitable for human consumption. That's very, very important. Safety is very important. So this can really revolutionize, the way this type of fish powders could be used in any sorts of complementary foods, any type of soups, any type of vegetable preparations, as long as you like and love fish smell. Some people say fish smell. Now I remember our famous Professor Salyan, he told if you remove the fish smell from fish, then what is the use of eating fish? Fish smell is the beauty of the fish, so it's not like we should always remove the fish smell and make it a bland powder. No, fish smell, many people do like fish. And if you look at the National Family Sampling Survey, a large percentage of Indian population is now eating fish. It's really surprising. Many times we tell people are not eating fish, but you go and see the National Family Survey, you'll see a vast percentage of Indian population is eating fish. So wherever fish is acceptable, I think this can make a big difference at the level of families, at the level of communities, at the level of the villages, and at the level of grassroots level. So again, this is where influencing policy and influencing investment becomes very important. How we can really work with very good leaders, proactive leaders, welcoming states, and convince them to consider aquatics in their policies and investments. This is where we're very, very happy. At least the government of Odisha, the SOPAN, the strategy for Odisha's pathway to accelerated nutrition. So this strategy of government of Odisha has included aquatics. So this is a good thing, So how many states have included? So the next step would be, will government of Odisha or Assam or West Bengal, would they include in their food-based dietary guidelines, for example? So these are small baby steps, But if these type of steps are encouraged, taken up by all concerned, right from colleges, fisheries, to ICAR institutions, to policymakers, the major institutions, then these changes are possible. We cannot say it's not possible, it is possible. And then we might see fish being considered in all the states in their dietary guidelines and policies, and slowly these baby steps can help major programs, especially the social safety programs. What are the social safety programs? Like the school feeding programs, the mother and child program, the hospital feeding programs, the defense food supply system programs, the hospital food system supply programs. In many programs, aquatics can find their way, provided it is safe, certified. And now making food safe and certified is not difficult. It's not a rocket science. It's simple science, as long as quality and hygiene is considered. So it is possible. And just to coming towards the end of the presentation, aquatic foods should be seen again not only from dollar terms and volume, tons and dollars. I think we should think of we should broaden the scope of thinking from dollars to tons, to also One Health, system transformation, nutrition sensitivity, climate resilience. So this is where aquatic foods comes very nicely in the One Health framing. When you think of One Health, it is the health of us, people, health of the environment, that's our aquatic system and the landscapes, and health of the organism. For us, the organism is all aquatic organisms. So we should think of the aquatic, and I would urge youngsters assembled there, especially the students in the hall in CIFT, to look at some of these papers, how the success metrics has been developed for measuring the success with respect to various components of this One Health wheel. And what can we do? So can you characterize your shrimp farming system in Kerala? Can you characterize your carp farming system in Kerala? Can you characterize your, with respect to the One Health wheel, and say what are the good things, what are the problematic things, which things there are gaps which needs to be addressed. So start thinking in terms of One Health, start thinking in terms of nutrition sensitivity, start thinking in terms of climate resilience. Then you will be doing justice for today's theme of the meeting. The meeting's theme being for planet and prosperity and all that. So if you want to do that, I think we need to change our thinking, our framework of thinking with respect to aquatic foods and aquatic food systems. And if you still remain in the old thinking of dollars and tons and millions of tons, millions of hectares, then I think we will not be doing justice. That is good. At the same time, we should also think of these additional things. So what we need, that brings me to the important point. We need a major transformation in our food systems, because the way presently we produce food, we process food, we transport food, we consume food, we waste food, this is significantly detrimental to the sustainability of the environment, the sustainability and the well-being of animals, the well-being of human health. The way we farm and the way we, because all the issues with respect to antibiotics, with respect to AMR, with respect to environment pollution, so many things are there. So if we have to move away from all the criticisms, all the threatening things, then we need a transformation, the way we farm, the way we process, the way we handle it, way we consume, the way we use ultimately for the benefit. How do we benefit? So the food system transformation is a must, and COVID has showed us very nicely how closely we are connected with one another. Animals, plants, humans, environment, we're all connected. So unless we think from a One Health angle, and unless we think from a one food angle, one plate angle. So I think what we should think is one plate. What is the plate? So the plate should have nutritious, safe, diversified food, which can come out of the local situations, which can satisfy the individuals, which can satisfy the community. So that type of thinking has to come if we have to make food systems more climate resilient, more nutrition sensitive, and so our challenge for all of us, I think if we can take this challenge as part of this AMRUT Mahotsav celebrations and try to think of working over the next 10 to 20 years, by the time we come to 100-year celebration of our Independence Day, I think our challenge is to transform the food systems. Can we begin at very low levels, baby steps again, and try to induce food system transformation thinking, so that what we produce can do better for humans, safe and healthy food, for animals, So there is no disease or less disease, or they are always taken care of well. They are not, and the environment. Ultimately, we want the environment to be clean for future generations. So we need it to be within the planetary boundaries. So I will not touch this slide. There are several pathways that have been recommended in the FAO report. Those who are interested can refer to that. Several pathways have been suggested to do the transformation. And some of the key messages why we need, key policies, national and state food-based dietary guidelines, research on multiple benefits of aquatic foods. And many countries are introducing what we call a right to food. A right to food is also there in many countries, including India. And this type of major policies, there must be mention of aquatic foods, to be part of that right to food framework, and diversifying aquatic food systems. Again, focusing on monoculture, monocropping versus diversification, a lot of benefits in terms of resilience and sustainability. And the data, improving the quality, because data is very important. Today, the whole world is moving around data. Everybody wants to harness and harvest data. Without data, we cannot make informed decisions. And unless we make informed decisions, we cannot inform the policymakers and the senior the government system. So data is very important. What data we are interested in? Nutrient composition. We should have right on our fingertips the nutrient composition, all types of our aquatic foods, food safety issues, food loss and waste issues, consumption patterns. What is the consumption pattern in Kerala? What is it in West Bengal? What is it in Karnataka? How can we really use the diversity which we are blessed to meet the requirements in the different states? So how can we address the sex and age disaggregated, needs? What is the need of a pregnant mother? What's the need of a lactating mother? What's the need of a 1-year-old baby? How can we really use the power of aquatic foods to specifically cater to this? And instead of just buying commercial baby foods, can we make our own baby foods at our own homes, which could be more nutritious, more delicious, more tasty than depending on commercial baby foods? And what role can small 1 tablespoon of fish powder can have in these simple things? So key message for us: fish, including small fish, they're superfoods. They're rich in multiple highly bioavailable micronutrients. So we need to invest a lot of money to understand the nutrient content of all small fishes, all fish aquatic foods to harvest, including bivalves, seaweeds, and others. And food safety should be a major aspect in our thinking. And we should also see how aquatic foods can play a major role in what we call the first 1,000 days program. Globally, first 1,000 days program is a major program for nutrition. And this is if we do not use the 1,000 days, this is a huge missed opportunity. And you have to pay for the health cost of this missed opportunity for the remaining lifespan of that individual. So if you use the first 1,000 days, right from the day the baby is conceived, in the mother, till the baby does the second year of its birthday, very critical window. And if all the nutrients are supplied in the right quantity and in the right proportion as it's needed through the milk and through supplementary and complementary foods, we will have healthy babies. And that would cut down the cost of health in all rural communities in all these places to a very large extent. And fish can play a major role in the first 1,000 days program. And this is where I think even it attracted the attention of the United Nations as to how the 1,000 days program, we can promote inclusion of aquatic food products in these type of programs, and how some of these should be reflected in the health policies of the countries, so that there is increased access to. The last slide is what World Fish is working. World Fish from 2022 is part of the 1 CGIAR, and a major program is getting started from the beginning of, has already started from the beginning of January 2022, called Resilient Aquatic Food Systems. And we will be working around 5 work packages. Work package 1 is aqua data. I've already highlighted why data is important. Aqua 2 is work package 2 is aqua partners. Again, I've highlighted why partnerships are important. On our own, we can do nothing. Only college, only one institution of ICAR we cannot do. I think partnerships with all, with state governments, with MPEDA, with Women and Child Development, with Mission Shakti, unless we partner with multiple departments, then only we can show the power of fish to these partners. I think partnership is a must, and we're also investing a lot of money on partnerships both in Asia and Africa in relation to harnessing the value of aquatic foods. Then the aqua plants, that is where how the land and water ecosystems can be productively used, especially irrigation tanks, irrigation dams, irrigation canals, reservoirs. You are using it for primary irrigation, but how can also harness it for aquatic food production and utilization. Aquagenetics, this is one important area where we have a lot of interest. How can we really support the development and delivery of genetically improved strains of aquatic organisms? And we are also working closely with CIFT, ICAR with respect to some of the genetic improvement programs. So this is a huge area, and now it's very limited to 1 or 2 or 3 species, but can this be extended to multiple species so that you have access of increased germplasm from multiple aquatic species? And finally, aqua labs, where all the innovations and scaling tools can be taken across countries. And these programs will be also implemented in India, some of the work packages, and we're working very closely with the partners, including ICAR, agricultural universities, and other departments. So the final slide, so the focus area of world fish and the impact areas, and I would invite people interested there. All the world fish publications are open access and freely available. Visit our website. A lot of opportunity announcements, as well as a lot of very interesting work coming from the field, from Myanmar, Bangladesh, African countries, some of which might have applications in India also that could be easily contextualized. We cannot just take and copy and paste, but you can contextualize the ideas and context. So our interest is along 3 pillars: sustainable and diverse aquatic foods for resilience and climate resilience. Our idea is affordable and accessible aquatic foods. This is very important. You might produce thousands of tons of premium quality salmon, but it's not accessible and affordable. It's okay, it's accessible to somebody else, but not to a large population for people of a country like India or Bangladesh or Myanmar or Cambodia or Laos. And so where should be putting our energy and resources is also affordable and accessible aquatic foods, so that there is shared prosperity and inclusive growth. And the last and the most important, which is very relevant to the theme of today's meeting, is nutritious and safe aquatic foods. If we can invest our time, resources, and energy, especially through master student research, postdoc, PhD research, and other research for improved human health, partnering with the medical institutions, partnering with doctors, partnering with primary health centers, because on your own, you cannot do any work with respect to human health. So you have to partner. But if you partner, so why don't you convince a local medical college and work with the local medical college and twin your master students with the local medical college students and combine and work on fish and human health. So each ethical responsibility is divided, the workload is divided, the knowledge and expertise of the domains, fisheries domain and human health domain, is harnessed. So there are a lot of opportunities. I think we need to think out of the box, and we need to develop collaborations also with local medical colleges, local primary health centers, and start devising new type of research projects for upcoming master students and PhD students. So with that, let me say thank you. Again, a big thanks to the entire ICR fraternity assembled there. I can see many of the ICR institutions there. So my big thanks to Professor Dr. Jaina, Dr. Mahapatra, and all the ICR institution directors, and special thanks to CIFT, Dr. Leela Edwin, and all our colleagues, and Sushila Matthew, and all our colleagues, for giving me the opportunity to present my views and thoughts. Even though my specialization is aquatic animal health and One Health and fish epidemiology and pathology, slowly I'm also leaning towards nutrition sensitivity and climate resilience and the value of aquatic foods to a wider community. So with that, a big thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening talk. It's time for interaction. We can now take a few questions for Dr. Mohan. So there are 2 questions in the chat box. Dr. Binsi would like to know your opinion on key approaches adopted for making the sector more organized in India.
I think I'm not at all qualified. I'm not at all qualified to talk about the sector alignment and sector priorities with respect to India. I think definitely the ICR institutions, the agricultural universities, and others are in a much better position. But what we can tell is the lessons what we have learned from countries like very small countries like Bangladesh and others in terms of how the local departments, especially the Department of Fisheries and the local development departments, how they're interacting with the research institutions. I think that's one major area where I see there's a huge opportunity within India to integrate more the development departments and the research institutions. And we see a huge gap for various reasons. I don't want to get into any of the reasons because depending on which side of the fence you are, each one of us have our justifications. But if you set aside all those things to one side and then start with the question, how can we work together? Let's start from tomorrow where we work together. Forget about the other. I think then there are ways. What my advice based on what I've seen in Myanmar, in Department of Bangladesh, in other countries, there are ways we can work. Okay, but the question is, we need to set aside this thinking of, okay, this happening, not happening, that we have to set aside, but there are possibilities. I think that is a wealth of opportunity to work with the integration between departments, ICAR institutions and universities, and we need to really break the silos, I think, right up to the ministry. I think that's when, I think as a whole, ICAR and others, I'm very happy to today see all ICAR institutions coming together, under this theme to really talk about the value of aquatics. So I'm very pleased. I think this is definitely the very right step in the right direction, and more of this should be there, and more of integration with others. We should bring in human health people. We should bring in women and child development. We should bring in water management institutions. So, because we are depending on water, so we need to really have water management institutions with us, nutrition institutions with us. I think that type of an approach would really help us to sell our story of fish and aquatic foods to a bigger audience. Otherwise, you and me will be selling a fish story only to fish people, which is of little or no use at all. We should be selling our fish story to audience outside the fish, not to fish people. I don't think I should be selling my fish story to ICAR-CIFT, I should be selling it to outside people to convince them. I think that would be the approach in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. If anyone from the audience wants to ask the question, please ask.
Sir, this is Dr. Shankar from CIFT. Thank you very much for your insightful presentation on food with special fish. Now, we know it provides the much needed protein for the poorest of the poor. But on the other side, the price of the commodity is increasing. That creates a challenge, in fact. So what are your suggestions, especially when World Fish is doing illustrious work in this regard?
This is again not an easy question. Say price and market dynamics, there's a lot of work. So the question is like how we have done a lot of work with respect to the aquatic food value chain systems in many countries. And how can we really use the value chain information and value chain systems to, to include how we can, target this type of price variations. Like for example, now small fish in many of the parts of Northeast, the small indigenous species are very expensive. It all can go almost up to 350 to 400 rupees. But again, if it is produced in a the beel dependent community can get those small fish free of cost because it's their own production system. Similarly, a fisher folk along the rivers or along the reservoirs. So there are many dynamics, but price is definitely one factor. And by producing more, we will definitely having a good control of price. Now, the price of, for example, carbs is not that high, as compared to, but we cannot always talk of high value, high commodity price. That's where we need to think of commoditization versus common man's food. I think we should be able to put more pressure and more this one to producing more fish, which is affordable. That's very important. Yeah. But again, price control is not that easy for us. We have to obey the market dynamics, the supply demand, dynamics. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful talk. Sir, you are telling about the policy transformation and you are telling about some strategies for that.
Among all the strategies, which one you think that the best strategy for some policy transformation in India, sir, according to you?
I don't know. I think the best thing is we need to really convene a very high level policy strategy discussion and bring all the senior bureaucrats, and even if few of them convinced of the role, as this is based on our Odisha example, when some of these very senior civil servant bureaucrats get convinced of the real hidden value, and when they get convinced that simple interventions can bring about a major difference or a change, that is when they start buying your ideas and say, okay, we will give you an opportunity to test this or do that. I think this is where I think even ICAR and others should think of convening some of the key bureaucrats from some of these key ministries to talk of the value of aquatic foods and how this can really help India. So it's not the sector. So I think we should move away from the sector and say how we can really help India to use fish as a solution. Not only think of fish from export and quantity, but think of fish as a solution. I think India can definitely do well because we are blessed with a very intelligent human resource, a lot of resources. We can definitely do it. So, but this is where we need champions. We need innovative states, welcoming states, and there are many champions amongst us. Even in this audience, there will be many champions. But the champions also need some motivation to take it forward. I think this is what is very important here. Thank you.
Sir, myself is Sainuddin from ICAR-CIFT. Sir, you have very well explained the importance of small indigenous species with regard to the health and prosperity of our people. I would like to have some more explanation, some explanation on your SOPAN program, which can be emulated to other states also. What is any other explanations in that?
The ICDS pilot testing activity was done with a very formal process with the Department of Women and Child Development in Odisha for 6 months pilot. We have submitted the report to the government of Odisha, and there's continuous discussions going on. So government of Odisha is keen to use the power of fish for their social, safety, food programs. So, but it's a long way to go. So we just taken the very first step, and Odisha has been very proactive in type of thinking and seeing the value of fish and how they can use the value of fish. I'm sure other states are also thinking along these lines, but how can they really break the ice and bring the other interest? This is where we need real champions and leaders. And I'm sure institutions like CIFT can take a leadership role to push this and bring some alignments within the states, and then start small trials to start this process. Because producing quality and safe, simple aquatic products like dried fish and dried fish powder is not at all a problem. It can be easily produced. It will have a shelf life of 2 to 3 months or 4 months. Sushila will be able to tell me exactly. And then can it get it certified by FSSI and have a private entrepreneurship developed around that. I saw in CIFT, they have got many incubator facilities. But if those private entrepreneurs can really become big and establish a market, not only market for the ICDS program, but market for the general public. Tomorrow, you and me also might buy from the market and use it in our dal and lentils and our, just 2 spoons you add and use it. So there's nothing wrong, right? But you get all the nutrients from the fish. You don't have to swallow a fish oil capsule. So there are a lot of benefits. So how small interventions can change. So this is where I think this is very, very important for us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Due to time constraints, we'll take the last question from the chat. There is a question from Dr. KK Asha. Her question is, decades of interventions through government and non-governmental initiatives to improve malnutrition in India are in place. Still, India struggles with key indicators of malnutrition, especially for children under 5 years of age. For example, the stunting figures. What, according to you, sir, can change this narrative and statistics for India?
I think this is where all the we need to really work with the governments, whether it's NGO or research institutions. So even research institutions, NGO is one part, even research institutions and universities and others who are inculcating higher education, we are not working with the governments. Unless we work with the governments, many things what we bring out may not be sustainable, because the government programs on food security, the government programs on right to food, the government programs on ICDS, they're very, very strong programs, very, very strong programs. They will be sustained irrespective of the government. These social safety programs will be sustained on a long run. Okay, they are not for today and tomorrow. Most of the social safety programs, nutrition programs, these programs for the marginal people, which itself is more than 200 or 300 million in India, these will be sustained. So I think we need to work with the governments on our own, on your own or on our own. We will not be able to start a sustainable nutrition program for a country like India. Forget about a country like India. We cannot even do for a district or a village unless we integrate that with the ongoing district program or ongoing state program, ongoing national program. This is where the opportunity lies. So why have we not capitalized on the national program? How did egg get into the system? So the question is how you can market the value of fish, accessibility of fish, affordability of fish, diversity of fish, and get to these national programs to think, to deliberate, to talk. Then these things will happen. But we have not made an attempt. We have not made an attempt on that. Thank you. I think there's a lot of good interactions. But again, I request people to visit website and look into the work that has been done in many countries. Every country has its own problems, so we need to really find approaches and solutions on a contextualized basis with respect to the country. But what we have is excellent resource to beautiful and intelligent human resource in India, and a lot of natural resources, and a lot of good leaders, and a lot of welcoming states and welcoming departments. I think we need to really work with them to make a change. And we should not say they don't welcome us. I think everybody will welcome, provided we go and get into the system in the right way. I think everybody will welcome us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for very enlightening talk and for sharing your thoughts with the participants on this national campaign. On behalf of Director and staff of ICAR-CIFT, we sincerely thank you for joining us today. Thank you. The next talk is by Dr. Shivakumar Magda, Dean College of Fisheries, Mangalore. Dr. Shivakumar Magda is a professor of aquatic biology with more than 25 years of experience in academics, research, and extension. He has developed a technology package for reclamation of saline and alkaline soils through aquaculture and productivity index scale for fish seed stocking to natural water bodies. He is presently working on sustainable agriculture through integrated farming systems, lake rejuvenation, and wetland management. Yes, many research papers in peer-reviewed journals and conference presentations to his credit. He has also conducted and coordinated several seminars, trainings, and workshops. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Respected Director General ICR, DDG Fisheries, Director CIFT, and the organizers and my fellow colleagues. I'll speak on fish for health and prosperity from my perspective, because I worked in the US, Bangalore for 18 years. I worked with the farmers. I worked in 258 villages. So all my knowledge, data is from the field. It is not extrapolated, calibrated. I thank Dr. Leela Edwin, Director CIFT, and needless to say, I'm thanking the entire fraternity of the CIFT. And I thank all my university officers, my Pro-Chancellor, Fisheries Minister, and all my colleagues. I think you're all seniors. I don't say this. I want you to take down, that's all. Look at this. Last 700 days, we observed more than 2 crores of people have been displaced. And these vulnerable people are looking for new alternative livelihoods. They don't want to go back to their original profession. And most of them are landless or the marginal farmers. So this is where we are in a fixed situation. We are not in a position to offer them the alternative livelihood. So definitely the fisheries and aquaculture can complement very well with agriculture, and these landless farmers and small and marginal farmers can take up some activities which can enhance their livelihood. So whole stories, in fact, the purpose of learning science is not learning about the data. We are blessed with a lot of data, but as Dr. Mohan sir said, with wrong data, we cannot come out with right strategy. We are dealing with wrong data. Of course, things are improving significantly, but still countries dealing with wrong data. First, our job is to update our data. This is the point I said it in the morning. In spite of producing 308 million tons of food, 15 million tons of fish, 300 tons of horticulture crops, country is suffering. This is the recent data, and let us believe this data. And our challenge is to achieve 350 million tons of food grain and 20 million tons of fish and 110 billions of eggs. And now, today, we are 18,000 plus scientists are working in agriculture research system. That's not enough for this 138 crores, but still we are capable of handling because of the advancement in science and technology. We can tackle those issues. We have to change, at least we have to change our thinking, production systems, scale. In fact, most of us, when I asked the production cost of paddy, sugarcane, whatever the regular crops, people are not in a position to give the exact figures. And when we say aquaculture is profitable, we must know what's happening in other agriculture fields. And the 73% population which was in agriculture, it is reduced to 51%. Is it not alarming? But according to me, if you bring the technology, science, policies together in a right proposition, we should be able to produce the same food with 15% of the people. Even now farmers are more. So we need to change the scale because of the fragmentation of land. That is the major issue. Small land holding is the major issue because we cannot implement the right technology in the smaller areas. 85% of the farmers in India are small and marginal, where you cannot deploy the scientific farming system. And in 17 countries of the state, it is the very recent data from Mr. Devendra Sharma, is the food analyst, is just less than 17,000 rupees. So agriculture, labor is richer than the agriculture farmer. So the scale of economy and unit economics, if we don't learn, we cannot sell our science. We are busy in talking about biology, but we must convince the biology to the engineers, and both these biologists and engineer must convince the concept with economists. All these three have to convince the policymaker. Unfortunately, we are working in silos. And technology, if you believe the principles of science is same everywhere, because there is no separate science for different states. And India is not one state. I mean, one country. It is as equivalent as 30 countries. So diverse with 15 different agroclimatic situations, agroclimatic regions. Nowhere in small countries. No, it is just one zone. We have 15 agroclimatic zone with diverse culture, diverse policies, federal system. But if we don't copy the good things from the other countries already, because there is no, many times we don't have to regionalize the concepts. The principles of the science is same. We need to adopt the technologies, copy the systems, and we need to spend more on the extension. So economics, yes, I will come to that point later. And processing. If we can learn the simple processing techniques, we can reduce the bulk by many folds and reach the unreached. And branding and marketing. I am hearing about the NECC for many years, but we have not formed National Fish Promoting Council. Let us start, let us brand. So, and hard work to smart work and data management. We need to upgrade all our data. So fish for health, I'll take the first part. And fish is healthy. Fish is a neat animal until it reaches human hands. Fish for health. Yes, of course, the civilization started all along the rivers, all along the coast, and beyond doubt, through empirical data, medical sciences, medical research proved that people have more IQs. The people who lives in the coastal area and the riverside, they have more IQ because they eat more fish. They take a lot of omega-3, omega-6 fatty acids, which is essential for brain. All that is fine. It is all science. That is not, see, science, the purpose of science is to create new knowledge, not learning the data. Data, if you're learning the data, it's history. So organized curiosity and logical skepticism. So if it is for health, you should know how to eat fish. I don't, because it's all peer group. It is all, fish is good with all essential nutrients compared to all other diets. Fish has a good package, provided if you know how to eat it. And just to break the monotony, I'm just giving you this data. I took 743 farmers from 8 districts of the state and examined their health in Manipal Medical Institute, Manipal. And look at this was not published. 51% of the people have pesticides in their blood, and 34% are anemic, and 35% are diabetic, and more than 84% had side problem. And then, since the government was thinking of doubling the farmers' income, I told the policymakers to ensure the farmers' health. We are talking about soil health. There are so many schemes, subsidies, but the farmers are not healthy. Though many of the dairy farmers, though they produce the milk, they don't consume. And fish, and of course, fish people are consuming, but this is the serious issue. Okay. So now, I'm a little skeptical about this data. The World Health Organization says the healthy adult must eat 20.3 kgs of fish per annum. And India, if you believe it's 15.18 we are producing, and 30% goes for non-food production, and the per capita consumption is 11.8. But for some reason, for last 65 years, we were given wrong data, because conveniently they have taken 50 to 60% of the fish eating population as non-vegetarians. But when you're calculating the production of the country, we even take the newly born children. So we have to take all 138 crores, divide this 15.1 into 0.7, divided by 138 crores, it will be 4 to 5 kilos. So we need to travel from 4 kilos to 20 kilos, not from 15 or 11. So it is not per capita consumption. It's a wrong notion again. It is per capita availability. So we need to change that. So Karnataka, yes, 5.8, it is increased to 8 now. Things are going in the right direction after the introduction of Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana with 56 different schemes to augment fish production. It's happening, but since the federal system, it's going at a different, slow pace. So now the world is producing about 9,600 trillion kilocalories. So healthy adult requires 2,800 to 3,000 kilocalories of energy per day, but we need 16,000 trillion kilocalories of energy. In world, we talk about in terms of energy. So where do you bring that food? Because already the land is shrinking. The farmers are leaving agriculture. It is no more economically viable. Agriculture is no more economically viable. Beyond doubt, even if you are fixing the minimum support price, conveniently, the policymakers have deleted the managerial cost. In 120 days of agriculture of paddy, at least 70 to 80 days, a farmer will go to the farm. Even if you take Kerala wages, it's 800,000 rupees. Even if I take 500 rupees, just check. So by principle, economists cannot exclude the managerial cost. So MSP, while calculating the cost of production, they have conveniently deleted the managerial cost. That's why they're showing per acre. If we get the 25 quintals of rice per acre, they get 30,000 of net revenue. It is wrong. So now, this is what the nutritionists say: 2 servings per week with 150 grams of fish is good for health. But you must know how to eat fish. All oils are bad. People say some oils are good. According to Dr. Devi Prasad Shetty, the famous cardiologist, all oil. No, there is no good oil, bad. No caste system in the oil. Coconut oil, groundnut oil. No, all oils are bad. So even if the dosage matters, even snake poison, if you drink it, it's a protein. If it goes into the blood, you'll die. So all oils are bad. If you judicious usage of oils, fats, you must know. No oil fries, ghee roast, masalas. And I'm saying 80 to 90% of the foods are eaten in that fashion. And then if you are eating in that fashion, no meat, no food is good. So plain fish curries, of course, Indian curries are the best design, time tested. Boiled, grilled, steamed are good, but unfortunately, it is not tasty for many people, and you're eating only masala. So this is what it is from Kerala only, not from my state. And of course, we are also following that. And all foods we are eating Ajinomoto, color, and oil, sweat, dust, anything and everything. Yes. So you must take the fish, not the masala. So I don't have to say, and you're using at least the best oil, coconut oil. And Kerala food system is quite good, but the fast food is killing us very fastly. And fish is a neat animal, I said it, until it reaches human hands. And we can handle pomegranate aerials. We are processing pomegranate aerials and sending it to America, 12,000 kilometers. Handling mushroom, but still struggling to handle the fish. Very simple, simplifying, branding, packing. The technology is known. It has to be amplified by many folds. That's all. Look at the foods in the supermarket. Very recently, during very good fishing day, we say fish is a cheap protein. On a very good fishing day in Mangalore, the sardine was 249 rupees per kilo. And now the sheer fish is 1,400 rupees. And in fact, Indian salmon is 1,200, sheer fish is 1,400, pomfret is 1,200, and this Ilsa is 2,400. So let's debate. Okay. So now people, in order to make, if you look at the cost of production, the cost of production in semi-intensive system, it comes to around 80 to 90 rupees. In intensive system, it is 150 rupees. But for 60 years, meat price has gone, pork price has gone, beef price has gone. But for carbs, somehow they are fixed at 80 rupees. So when we can organize in Bangalore and Karnataka, the entire poultry price is regulated by the organized people. If they say it is 110, it is 110 throughout the state for the entire day. But for fish, they bargain like anything. And people, in 60s, rice bran and oil cake were cheap. They are not the preferential feeds for the fish. They don't eat mud. They don't eat all this. They need the nutrients on par with their body composition. But now the rice bran price has gone up to 30 to 40 rupees. All those rice bran is going for rice bran oil, and donut cake is 40 to 60 rupees. And even if you mix in the ratio of 1:1, the cost of production will be 98 rupees by taking FCR of 3. So going for commercial feed, there are 24 feed companies in the country, and they're running the capacity of 60 to 70%. Going for commercial feed is cheaper because of the scale of economy, and you should sell the fish not less than for rupees 200, and live fish 250 to 300, any fish. So now, fish for wealth. Of course, beyond doubt, the fisheries, aquaculture is economically viable because of the increase in the cost of inputs. Things are wavering, but still, compared to all other prevailing crops in the country, the benefit cost ratio, return on investment, IRR, all are good in fisheries. I will show you because I worked in agriculture. I am from a farming background. I know only production, productivity. I understand only that, and money. So now, look at the dry fish. In my place, Mandia, on every Thursday, they sell the dry fish on the roads, which is full of nutrients, salmonella, E. coli, fecal coliforms. And look at the most expensive food in the world, the caviar. So from rat to rich, this can cater. That's what I want to say. And this is the extracted data, you don't get it in the books. India is doing well in terms of milk, papaya, jute, ginger. Just because we are 3.28 million square kilometer, because of the vastness of the country, we are doing well. We need to move from production to productivity. If China can produce 12 tons of rice per acre, why are we stuck at 4.5 to 5? And our Indian aquaculture production is 4.5 tons per acre in semi-intensive system as against 40 tons. So we need to follow the factors which are followed by the strategies which are followed by the successful people. By following wrong strategy, we cannot expect the same result. Look at the production difference in the last column, and when they can produce, why? Because India is in the second place because no one is there in the middle. Because of the vastness, we are producing 10.16 million tons of fish from the freshwater side. So if we can increase the productivity by harnessing the science and technology, and this is what the vertical growth, India can, the potential is much higher in India for all crops. I'm not referring to the fish. So major problem, see, when you're learning aquaculture or fisheries, we must know what's happening in the other fields. The poor land holding is the issue. Sweden was facing the same problem. By bringing one small law, they have solved the issue. Cambodia, Vietnam, there they do community farming, but in India, husband and wife living together is a giant family. So now community farming is over. But policy, yes. In Sweden, suppose if I have 10 acres of land and 4 children, if I have 4 children, I cannot divide my land among the 4 children. All of my children or one of them have to do agriculture. They can only share the revenue, not the land. If they don't do agriculture for 2 years, the land will be taken back by the government. So one simple policy solved the fragmentation of land issue, but incredible India, incredible problem. But definitely policy can bring the change. Poor capital. We have plenty of money in Sweden, plenty of money with people. But unless it circulates, the economy will not grow. The money should circulate among the local people. This is what we say, inclusive economic growth. Money is good. Money will grow when it circulates. Unfortunately, people are busy in accumulating it. Fine. Scarcity of labor. In a country with 138 crores, can we say the scarcity for labor? But everybody is trying to escape the value of sweat. So people are slowly coming back. Problematic soil, I said it, due to continuous usage of same land for same purpose, excessive usage of water, nutrients, fertilizers, 9.6 million hectares. And out of 157 million hectares of land, about 76 million hectares is irrigated. About 23% of irrigated land is problematic soil. If we don't attend to it, in agriculture, it is called white plague. All the salt is coming up. It is already even in Kerala, because of the water inundation, accumulation of salt, soils are either acidic or saline, which is low productive or unfit for agricultural activity. So I am trying to promote aquaculture as a treatment in a small, the low-lying area. You just dig a pond, not to grow fish, just to drain the excess water and the salt. Sodium is the issue. Sodium is the culprit. It has to be replaced by calcium, sulfur, whatever it is. But sodium is the culprit. First, already the World Bank project was there to drain the excess salt by putting the perforated earthen pipes in the entire command area. A lot of money has gone in. I debated. So that's why instead of putting the, because already it is low lying and you cannot put the perforated earthen pipe and expect the gravity flow. Instead of that, just go for fish pond in the 5 to 10% of area in the Kaveri command area. If we can have pond in an area of 5 to 10% of our agricultural land, we don't have to fight with the Tamil Nadu for water. In summer also we can grow paddy and sugarcane, and by draining excess salt and the water, the productivity of adjacent land will increase. Paddy will increase by 800 kilos per acre and 8 to 10 tons of sugarcane will increase and coconut yield will increase only by draining salt and water. and no adoption of scientific pest and disease management. See, people will give the soil sample, but they don't wait for the result. It is only applied for the subsidy. And some places in the coastal area, the soil is deficit in zinc. Only by applying 2 kgs of zinc, the paddy yield can be enhanced by 30 to 36%. But unfortunately, people are not going with the scientific management. And micronutrient deficiency, I said, imbalanced nutrient, because for the entire country, we have 40-20-20 NPK. But many soils do not require so much of K, so much of P. We need to have region-specific nutrient fertilizers. And lack of knowledge and value addition. In fact, 80% of the jackfruit that is grown in the Western Ghats is unutilized. 80% of jack, but it is protein. So scarcity of inputs, seeds, livestock, and we need 60 crores of, in Karnataka, the India needs 26 crores of carp seed and 26, not crores, billion, 26 billion carp seed, and 8 to 10 billion is coming from other countries. And we need 54 billions of shrimp seed. People are happily producing, but carp, still we are struggling. And wild animals, monkey, peacock is the issue. These issues were there 60 years ago. Even now they are there. That is my point. And migration of youngsters and middlemen. So middleman, that's what government is trying to promote. Fish farmers, producers organization, even in agriculture field, producers organization. And when you're organized, definitely middleman, they're the menace. So that's what I request you to organize, promote the people to be organized. If you're deceived by the same man twice, maybe you're worth it. Scarcity of fodder. I will tell you, the dairy farming is growing at a higher rate, 8 to 10% in many states, but growing fodder is profitable than growing paddy. Because you get 380 to 400 tons of Napier, the CO3, CO5, hybrid varieties of grasses, fodder varieties, and the people are selling it for 8 rupees. Okay. Somebody has removed that, I think. Hidden issues. The average income of family of 4 is 2.5. With 2.5 acres, it's only 1.5 lakh, which works out to be 3,125 rupees, which is lower than the daily wage labor. And we say we are from agriculture family. We are non-working agriculturist, non-residential agriculture. That is very prevalent in Kerala. People are going abroad, somehow accumulating the wealth, coming back, purchasing the land, not doing agriculture. So non-residential agriculture is a serious issue in the country. In last 10 years, in my district, in Karnataka, more than 23,000 acres of paddy land has been converted, and everyone is feeling that agriculture is not profitable. So stringent guidelines and slow process of the developmental departments and poor data, all that I said it. So now for doubling the farmer's income, the production need not be doubled. Responsible consumption will lead to the responsible production. Production need not be doubled, and technology alone will not help the farmers to earn more income. So that's why we can cancel all the subsidies, and instead we can buy the produce by paying 15 to 20% of profit, and country can make more profit than giving the subsidies. So look at this, the economics comparative analysis from the real data. Look at the last line, the BC ratio. In paddy, with best of the best average yield of 25 quintals, in Kaveri command area, it is 1:1. I've taken the lower limits. Sugarcane in 14 months, paddy in 4 months, 1:1.5, fish culture 2.04, and fish seed rearing, it is 2.5. It will be 4. I've taken the lower limit. So that's why you need to understand the minimum scale of economy, the unit economics. My dear young friends, please take down, if you have pen and paper, just take down, small exercise. The 4,000 meter square is 1 acre. And if you grow paddy 25 quintals, and by selling for 2,500 rupees, you get 50,000. So let us understand the revenue from square meter. So please divide. I don't see pen and paper. Okay. 50,000 divided by 4,000. Please do it. So per square meter, you get 12 rupees 50 paise. That's the gross revenue. So to get back 50,000 revenue from the paddy, you have to spend 30,000 rupees. So divide this 30,000 by 12.5. So to get back your investment, you need to grow paddy in 2,400 square meter. If you don't know this minimum scale of economy where the benefit cost ratio falls at 1, you don't know the science. So everybody is promoting integrated farming system. People are busy in identifying the different concepts. That is not the science. We have to know the proportion of each activity and change in one proposed activity, how it affects the other production productivity. That is the IFS. That's why you need to know unit economics and MSc. Okay. So anyway, I will not go into the details. We are blessed with plenty of water resources with low production. And reservoir production is just 80 to 150 kg. If we can increase fish production of reservoirs by 100 kg, India can do wonders. Next. Okay, I don't see. So India's requirement by 2025, I said it, please read it again. We need 110 billion eggs, 20 billion tons of fish, 350 million tons of food grain. It is all possible with less area, with less people. Look at the success story because we are referring to wealth. This farmer in Tumkur, the coconut growing area, has 15 acres of land and has only 100 square meters of pond developed by ICAR-CIFT. Because of the dry, low water table, it was not holding, and they have dipped the gunny bags in the cement slurry and put it over the dike, and it is holding water. In just 100 meters square, he is getting 9,800 rupees in 70 days by rearing this carp seed. To get 9,800 rupees as profit, you have to grow coconut in 8 acres. 8 acres, almost 3,500 square meters of paddy. So 100 meters square of a small pond, farm pond, gives the revenue. After seeing the success, we recreated in zone 7, hilly zone of Karnataka. So see, Myanmar, Bangladesh, because of the delta, all water goes there. By default, they have to drain the water. That's how they have picked up the aquaculture. Only to drain excess salt and water. They're doing fish culture. If they can do it, all our command area, thousands of acres going fallow because of the white plague. So we need to follow them. And see, look at this wetland. I see all 450 kilometers from Mangalore to here, all wetlands left fallow. If you can teach them the construction of bunds using the sand and mud, they can grow fish, curry mean, whatever, the mullet, all that. Here and there, some water depth was there. They were catching fish. Instead, they can enhance the fish production by converting their wetlands into fish ponds. Some people are doing non-conventional water bodies in the country. Many of the estate, tea estate, coffee estate, they will have a small reservoirs which are so deep. They were not used under the National Fisheries Development Board financial support. We trained farmers to grow fish. Even if they catch 30%, that's enough. Because of the low temperature, it might take 14 to 16 months to attain marketable. That's fine. And people have realized this is more profitable. Some people are growing, they have put even the cages in their farm, growing fish, because this is more profitable than growing coffee and the tea. Even Tata Estate, they have realized, and most of our tanks, 2.35 million hectares of tanks in the country, 60 to 70% of them are infested with weed. Even in weed infested tanks, we can deploy these, we can put these hopper, jumbo hoppers and grow fish seed, a two-tier system. Outside grass carp, inside the carp, any carp seed, it is profitable. And ornamental fish industry is growing in a big way, and Kerala is doing really well. And my suggestion, because we are just 60 kilometers away from the Western Ghats, if we can train the women folk to catch the wild cat, because if you don't catch, they die. If you catch the wild fish and sell it live, they can make their livelihood. So look at this, collect those wild, all the weed fishes, they're nibblers, collect them. And, the pedicure people, they charge 400 rupees for 20 minutes. And if I ask them, where do they get the fish? They say from Malaysia, Sri Lanka, all our fishes. They say doctor fish. And wild aquatic plants, it's a big industry. This is one of our entrepreneurs doing very well in Bidadi and producing 80 aquatic plants in the tissue culture system and 150 plus plants in the paleo system, all wild, and he is earning in millions. Aquaponics, yes, it's not economically viable for now, but of course, whoever can afford to do it, they can go for it at cost. If you are too conscious about health, please go for it. And some creativity. See, the pistia was a menace in our pond. Normally, we used to throw the pistia azola. So now we started selling for the welcome bowl. It leaves, it will be there for only 15 days, but people have a lot of money and we are selling it for 10 rupees each, saying that it's a green rose. And next slide is just bogwood in the small cup. I sold it in the name of small aquarium in the world. Shrimp, yes, out of 12 lakh tons of export, 60 to 70% of the shrimp we are exporting, but we are damaging the environment very heavily. So they need to be charged. So MPEDA, such other organizations, they're charging for the exporters, even for the growers, we must charge and levy them so that we can maintain certain orders. I said it, the reservoir production is very less. Of course, Jharkhand is doing well. Maharashtra is doing well. They have deployed the cages in reservoirs, growing very well. Even in Karnataka, the expression of interest has been called to promote cage culture in Alamatti KRS reservoir. And crab farming, many of the fishes, we could not breed them successfully and supply the seeds consistently, but some of the farmers collecting the wild and growing them in small cages. This is a two-tier system. Outside they grow fish, inside the cages they grow cages, and cost of production will be 700 to 800 rupees and they sell it for 1,000 to 200 rupees. One of the farmers in Ratnagiri brought the seawater and having a RAS system and growing crab. And IPRS, this technology developed by Auburn University, promoted by USEC, US Soybean Export Council. I visited this in 2017, where they are growing 150 kg per meter cube as against 2 kilos in India. So if they can attain it, we can also attain it at the cost of technology and the money. RAS, Government of India is subsidized hugely for RAS and biofloc system. Whoever do not have the land, have money, have interest, have entrepreneurial interest, they can go for RAS, produce more fish, safe fish. Biofloc system, Israeli technology, is a 40 years old, but now picking up in India at a greater rate, but we have to cut their pace because they have to learn the technique of managing CN ratio. Otherwise, they are growing marl because the only few species are which are suitable for biofloc, like tilapia, omnivore species, Pangaceae, but they are growing the marl, anabas in the biofloc system. They are wasting energy and time. And people started constructing biofloc, the modular tanks over the house after knowing the technology, and of course they can do it for their homestead. And we need to replace all carbs with local fishes or hybrid fishes, Notapterus, Pabda, Pangaceae, Anabas, Marl. It is picking up. And in brackish water system, the seed supply is the serious issue, but things are picking up. Chanus, Caribbean, the Lujanus, Pampano, Cobia, it's picking up well. And see, this is how we handle the fish. So, and it is served like that. So we need to educate the people on handling, quality handling of fish. This is both are from Mangalore. So we need to upgrade. Things are getting better. We need to upgrade. And this is the dry fish market. When we can sell the dog food in a nice such a MAP pack, why not our food? And of course, CIFT is doing fantastically well. It has to be amplified by many folds. This is the market. So now I have proposed the new concept of selling fish like cafe coffee day. This is for selling vegetables. This is for selling fish. The container made one. So wherever they see the blue shop, they should buy fish. But unfortunately, people are selling the fish on roads, vegetables on roads. So this was proposed. This was proposed to the government of Karnataka, India. Nothing moved. Later, under the support of PMMSY, we established this. Now we have gone to the field. This is in one of the remotest area in Karnataka, big bite, and he makes rupees 8 lakhs per annum and take 26 to 28% of net profit. So finally, this is my last slide. If you want to change, you should have the 7 ingredients: vision, value, strategy, resources, capability, motivation, and feedback. That will lead to the change. If you don't have vision, you'll be confused. If you don't have values, you'll be corrupt. If you don't have strategy, you'll be diffused. If you don't have resources, not necessarily the money, the resources, you'll be frustrated. If you don't have capability, you'll be fatigued. If you don't have motivation, that's what we are trying to do today. If you don't have motivation, you'll crawl. If you don't take the feedback, you will doubt. So thank you very much. The saying goes like this: if you know me, you can't be a pessimist. So on behalf of my institute, Karnataka Veterinary, Animal and Fisheries Sciences University and College of Fisheries, I wholeheartedly thank the director and the organizers and all of you for patient listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for a very interesting and informative talk. The floor is now open for discussion.
You may ask any question, not that I'll answer all of them. I want you to ask right questions, because that it is the questions that change the world, not the answers. Answers are resultant effects. It is the question that change the world.
Sir, good afternoon, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, okay.
Sir, I'm Dr. A.K. Mohanty from CFT. From your lecture, we could come to know that you have a vast experience in the field.
Only
because
field.
you are dealing with the agriculture, horticulture, all the sectors and comparing with the fishery sector. So in this context, I want to know that because in order to make the fish available to the family, each family, can we think about how we can incorporate fishery in the Nutri Garden in line with the integrated farming system? Is it possible?
It's possible. It's happening. We are handling the milk in a very professional way. Beside the milk booth, if we can have 1 or 2 tanks with the support of government of Karnataka or under the PMMSY, we can sell ornamental fish, live fish. It is possible and it's happening. People have realized the importance of fish, but only thing is we need to teach them how to eat fish. It's happening, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And fisheries, aquaculture gels well with agriculture by complementing, without competing, by complementing and by giving the better profit. But since it is not staple food, we cannot convert all the lands into aquaculture. Though it is profitable, it should go in a phased manner. So that's what you can go back. You understand the economics of your own family, your own farms. You come back. Let's discuss about the new strategy. You change. That is the greatest contribution to the country. You change the economics of your family. The country is too vast. Sir.
Now, from your presentation, just a thought came to my mind. Now, according to 2019 UN census, about 7% of the Indian population is below poverty line. Below poverty line. Okay, but we advocate fish production, everything, as you rightly said, agriculture, everything in the increasing trend. But despite the fact what is happening, people are still having are malnourished. Till, I mean, less than 10% of the population. But from your insight right now, what do you think could improve this situation? Of course, it is, as you rightly said, people, the different people should sit together and apprise the policymaker to address the issue per se. But from the discussion what we had, what is your view on this? How we can probably improve the scenario so that this 10% is brought up and the below poverty line becomes reduced?
Sir, in a vast country like this, unstratified society is a myth. One is economic stratification I'm talking about. For various reasons, because of our schemes, supported systems, we are not getting the laborers. We are not making them to work. We are making them to escape the work. That is one policy intervention, is killing the production and productivity. The second one, the poverty line itself is debatable. And in fact, some of the people with BPL and below poverty line people have best of the best mobiles in their hand. So somehow, what I'm trying to say, agriculture production, it's dwindling because of the fragmentation. The second one, people have realized the importance of fisheries, but unfortunately, 85% of the fisheries is overfished, and only the commercial farming is profitable. So we are paying very huge cost in terms of health, the societal issues, and definitely people are trying to going back to the roots, realize the importance, and more and more people are going back to the agriculture, bringing back the glory. And the technocrats are in a smaller area producing more food. Things are getting better in spite of all that because of the policy, because of the right interventions, right support system. Things are improving. But we are in a very transition zone. We have to pay a great toll. So if we don't realize, if we don't work in a team, if we don't take up the research which are issue-based, need-based, production-based, economics-based, we will have to pay a very big toll. But in spite of that, the scientists are teaming up. The country is faring well. Just compare the success story of the Sri Lanka. We are doing well. In spite of all those issues, we are doing well. That's what, if you know me, you can't be a pessimist. I am optimistic and our country is doing fantastically well. And it is not the wheel that changed the transportation. It is the bearing. Wheel, yes, that was the basic tool, but bearing changed the transportation significantly. Let us act as a bearing, ball bearing. You are one of the bearing, I am one of the bearing. Youngsters?
Thank you, sir. There is another question on the present status of nutrient-sensitive aquaculture in India.
All the issues cannot be clubbed together. We have to tackle the issues separately. But of course, World Fish Center is doing well. They're bringing economics as well as nutrition issue together, because there in the northeastern state, they eat anything and everything. Any small size fish also, even in Kerala, they eat. But the modern society is looking for big fish, boneless fish. There's a serious issue. But wherever it is possible, because every thought, it cannot be applied for the entire nation. It is diverged. But wherever it is possible, nutrition and economics can be clubbed together. But Andhra people, they don't understand about nutrition. They want money. They want to do it in a big way. That's a different story. That's why we need to have a region-specific strategies. One nation, one policy will not help in this country. Thank you. I finished.
Do we have any more questions from the audience? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts with the participants today on the National Campaign on Fish for Health and Prosperity. On behalf of Director and staff of ICAR-CIFT Kochi, we express our sincere gratitude to you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
धन्यवाद सर। देवियों सज्जनों, इसी के साथ राष्ट्रीय अभियान पर तकनीकी सत्र समाप्त होता है। सभी से अनुरोध है कि कृपया राष्ट्रगान के लिए उठ खड़े हों।
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Thank you. With this, we have come to the close of this program. Thank you.